Hi guys, today is Wednesday, September 2nd. Our agenda for today is to complete the warm-up. We're going to read and annotate through the tunnel paragraphs 22 through 39. And then at the end, you'll have an exit ticket. And your exit ticket's actually part of your assignment for today, which are questions over what we read. So the very last question of your worksheet will be that exit ticket, so don't try looking for it anywhere else. Our objectives for today are: I will identify the use of imagery in Through the Tunnel by annotating the text to deepen understanding of the text. I will identify the use of dashes by analyzing how the author uses dashes in Through the Tunnel and practicing using dashes in my own writing. So our warm-up for today was kind of long. I had to put it on its own slide. We're just going to go back over what a claim is. Okay, so a claim is the main idea of an argumentative essay that explains the author's position on a topic. The claim can also be called the thesis statement. A thesis statement restates the prompt and gives your reasons or opinions. An example prompt is: write an essay stating your position on whether or not social media makes people feel more alone. So if you had this prompt like on the star or something like that, you would want to tell me whether or not you think social media makes people feel lonely or not, okay? So you're not going to say "I think," though. This is what your prompt should look like. You need to restate, or your thesis, your claim. You need to restate part of the prompt. So if you look, social media makes people feel more alone because. Social media makes people feel more alone. Do you see how I took words from the prompt and then added because? And now I'm going to give my reason. People often feel they have to pretend to be someone they're not to be accepted on social media. And another example prompt, maybe you don't think that it makes them feel more alone. So you do the same thing, but instead you're going to add in does not. So social media does not make people feel more alone because it allows more people to connect no matter where they live. Okay, these are just examples. Your warm-up for today is you're going to write a thesis statement or claim for a prompt that I'm going to give you. You need to make sure you restate the prompt like we did up here. So use words from the prompt. Then say because and give me your reason. Your prompt is: write an essay stating your position on whether or not students should be able to use their phones at school. So there are two ways that you can answer this question, and I'm going to give you sentence stems to help you get started, okay? Your first sentence stem is: students should be able to use their phones at school because. Then tell me why. One reason. You don't need to lots of reasons, okay? Just one reason. Or maybe you don't agree. Students should not, add a not in there, be able to use their phones at school because, and tell me one reason why they should not. So make sure that you start with one of these stems that I'm giving you, and then you add your reason. Okay, so at this time, I want you to pause the video and go into the Google site, right here where it says complete the warm-up. If you click on warm-up, mine looks a little different because this is my editable site. It's going to come up with the form. Okay, fill in your name, the class period. Right here, you need to check these boxes stating that you understand all of the notes that we went over about examples of writing claims. And then right here is where you will write your answer. You need to start with one of those sentence stems, right? So students should be able to use their phones at schools because. Make sure you're starting with that, okay? And when you're done, you can go ahead and press play on the video again. So go ahead, pause, and do your warm-up. Okay, so you should be done with your warm-up. Here are some things that I would have said. Students should be able to use their phones at school because it gives them access to the internet where they can research things. Or students should not be able to use their phones at school because they can be distracting with text messages and social media apps, stopping them from getting their work done. Okay, so you could have gone either way. You could have had your own ideas. Any of that's fine. Moving on, today you're going to continue reading through the tunnel. We're not going to finish the story, but we're going to get close. So we're going to read paragraphs 22, which you read yesterday, but we like to read one paragraph back just to kind of remind ourselves what happened. We're going to read paragraphs 22 through 39. Okay, and yesterday in the story, we met a boy named Jerry. Jerry was at the beach with his mother, and she was going to take him to the safer area of the beach, but he saw this wild, rocky bay, and he wanted to go and explore that and adventure and see what it was all about. So he kind of felt guilty leaving his mom, but she really wanted to get him out there doing things on his own because she didn't want to be overprotective. So she said, okay, go ahead, you can go. He went out to this rock and he met all of these boys that were locals. Remember, Jerry is a foreigner. He's not from there. He's just on vacation. And the boys were jumping off of this rock into the bay and swimming around down there. And he really wanted to fit in with them. So he went up there and jumped off of it too. Well, they continued doing this. And then at one point, one boy just kind of disappeared for a little bit. And everybody watched. Jerry got really upset and kind of nervous for him, but then he popped up on the other side of some rocks. And it turns out that this boy had swam through a hole in the rock barrier and had come out the other side, so like an underwater tunnel. So all the other boys followed suit, and Jerry jumped in, but he just couldn't find this tunnel, and he got really upset, and then the boys left because they were done swimming for the day. He never found out where the tunnel was, and he started to cry. Well, after that, his mother, he met his mother at home, and he said, Mom, I want some goggles. And she said, okay, but he demanded they go get them right now. So she took him to the store, he got the goggles, and he went back out to the bay. All right, so today we're going to pick up where we left off. He's out there at the bay. He is determined to find this hole. He now has goggles to help him see underwater, okay, and we're going to keep reading. Now, when you first read, and you read, and you start reading, I want you to continue annotating. Continue to put yellow circles around words you don't know. It's very important you follow this annotation key. Okay, I have an expectation that when you annotate and you don't know a word, you're going to use a circle and you're also going to use the color yellow. You are being graded on your annotation skills, so it's important that you follow the directions. Underline using pink main ideas. Okay, so anything that you think would help you write a summary, a big deal in the story, underline that. If you get really confused about any ideas in the story, you can leave a question mark or even a whole question in the annotation note. And then you also need to underline with blue examples of imagery. So remember, anything that tells you how something sounds, tastes, smells, how it looks, how it feels, and also movement. So like when it keeps talking about his mom's arm swinging, okay, as she's walking, that's imagery. Anything that helps you see what's going on in the story. So you'll go back and you'll read paragraph 22, and you're going to see at the very end of the paragraph a dash. So a dash indicates a longer pause than a comma indicates. Often, a dash will indicate an interruption in thought. So like they're mid-sentence and they're thinking something and then they just freeze, right? Or maybe somebody interrupted them when they're thinking or speaking. Or it'll suggest that additional information is to come, which means it's going to tell you something, and then there'll be a dash, and then it'll give you a fact about whatever it was just talking about to help you understand that idea better. So if you look at the last sentence of paragraph 22, it has a dash. How does the author use this dash? So go ahead and go look at paragraph 22, and I want you to decide, does it use an interruption in thought or suggest additional information is coming? So pause the video, go look, and then come back and check your answer. All right, so you should have finished reading paragraph 22 and reading that sentence. If you said that the dash is used to indicate additional information, you got it, okay? So the dash sets off a phrase that provides a further description, so more information about eyes of a different kind. So when it says that Jerry has eyes of different kind, we kind of don't understand what that means. So they do a dash and then they tell us it's like fish eyes, that he can see really clear underwater. That's what the goggles make his eyes like, okay? As you read paragraph 23, pay attention to the dashes. How are the dashes used in paragraph 23? Okay, ask yourself that question and try to determine how they're used. If you want a hint, they might kind of be used the same, okay? As you keep reading, you're eventually going to find a part where Jerry starts breathing training because he's trying to hold his breath longer, all right? And I wanted to give you like a science connection to try to help you understand why Jerry gets nosebleeds so often when he does this. So after intense breath training and hours spent swimming, Jerry starts having nosebleeds. Nosebleeds can be a common occurrence for competitive swimmers. Though nosebleeds are not life-threatening, they can cause dizziness and blood loss if frequent and severe. So these competitive swimmers are out there swimming, and it's really common for them holding their breath for so long, stretching the limits of holding their breath. It's common for them to get these nosebleeds. And normally it's okay, but occasionally if they're happening often, like maybe every time they go in the water or like several times a day, then it could become more severe and they could maybe need to see a doctor or slow down on their swimming. All right. And then your exit ticket for today will be to write a sentence using a dash. And like I said before, your exit ticket is the last question on your worksheet. It is absolutely necessary to do it. It is, part of the worksheet. So at this time, well, I guess I'll show you my example. My example of a sentence using a dash is, he was afraid of two things. And now I'm using my dash to give more information about what these two things are: spiders and senior prom. Okay, so you can use a dash like that, or you can try to use a dash for the interrupted thought. This one's the easier one, so that's why I did it, right? Work smart, not hard. So work smarter, not harder. You should always work hard. But anyway, so I hope you understand what we're doing. If you have any questions, please ask. It's kind of difficult for me not being there to help you and guide you. I really wish we could all be back at school, and I'm hoping we can be back at school soon. But until then, I'm here for you. We can have a Google Meet. You can email me to ask questions. Okay, just make sure you're specific in your questions. I need like tons of information to make sure I'm answering what you're actually asking. Okay, a vague question, I might give you an answer that doesn't really apply because I'm thinking that you're thinking about something different than what you are. So at this time, you can go back to the text, read paragraphs 22 through 39. Once you're finished, go into Google Classroom and find the worksheet for today. It says 9/2 through the tunnel part 2 questions. Okay, make sure you finish that and turn it in. If you have any questions, reach out. Otherwise, that is it for today, okay? I will see y'all tomorrow. Have a good day.